Africa, a continent drenched in the blood of revolutionary heroes.
Combattants de l'indépendance, aujourd'hui victorieux, je vous salue au nom du gouvernement congolais.
From the early years of independence to recent times, numerous African leaders have been assassinated, with victims ranging from post-colonial figures to long-standing rulers like Muammar Gaddafi. A continent till today Western powers and ex-colonizers still can't help but exploit and take advantage of.
Bringing American capital and expertise and standards to Africa so that we can keep exploiting so that we can exploring where we can get these minerals.
Every so often, African nations produce leaders with ambitious and progressive policies. However, the moment these leaders start making waves with policies perceived as threats to Western interests, they rarely live long enough to see their plans come to fruition. Africa is home to 30% of the world's mineral reserves, 90% of the world's platinum and chromium, 65% of the world's arable land, 40% of the world's gold, 12% of global oil reserves, or like the US like to say,
weapons of
mass destruction.
The continent has the resources to be a global powerhouse. With 38 of its 54 countries having access to the sea, Africa is surrounded by some of the world's most crucial maritime trade routes. The Gulf of Guinea, the Red Sea, and the Cape of Good Hope all serve as critical passageways for international commerce. However, this strategic position has long been exploited by foreign powers and multinational corporations. European and American companies dominate these trade routes, often at Africa's expense. For instance, 90% of Africa's imports and exports are controlled by non-African shipping lines. Major European shipping companies like Maersk, MSC, and Evergreen control vast portions of maritime trade along Africa's coasts. American and European oil companies exploit key ports and offshore areas for their operations. In the Gulf of Guinea, for instance, which holds significant oil reserves, companies like ExxonMobil, Chevron, and Shell, of which all are offshore companies, dominate the area, taking oil back home. Some argue that colonialism isn't to blame for Africa's economic struggles. They point to Singapore, another former British colony, that gained independence around the same time as many African nations. But here's the truth about post-colonial Africa. Even after so-called independence, many African countries found themselves trapped in a new kind of colonialism, economic imperialism, a situation in which one country has a lot of economic power or influence over others. Former colonial powers still pull the strings, exploiting Africa's vast mineral and natural resources. They maintain a stranglehold on the continent's financial systems. And what happened to African leaders who tried to break free from this Western control? They often met a grim fate, assassination. Remember Gaddafi? He had a dream, a Pan-African bank, backed by gold, a currency that could challenge the mighty US dollar. But dreams can be dangerous, especially when they threaten the wrong people.
Today, the government of Libya announced the death of Muammar Gaddafi.
Gaddafi was removed from power, but here's where it gets interesting. Hillary Clinton's leaked emails revealed a shocking truth. NATO's real goal in Libya wasn't about democracy or human rights as they claimed. It was about stopping Gaddafi from unifying Africa and introducing the African gold dinar. As Gaddafi himself said, "This is our continent, our banks, our currency. We are striving for independence," words that would seal his fate. The aftermath, a power vacuum filled by chaos, ISIS, crumbling infrastructure, poverty. Many Libyans now long for the days of Gaddafi when life felt more secure, when malnourishment was below 5%, when Libya was considered a high development country by the UN.
Are you
would take Gaddafi back?
أنا قاتلت في جبهة زندان وفي جبهة بن وليد ضد قدافي. ناو كان في قدافي أنا في قاتل مع قدافي.
Similarly, Lumumba's assassination is another case of Western imperialist powers going to great lengths to maintain their economic stranglehold on their former African colonies. Lumumba was one of Africa's most outspoken critics of imperialism, a man who dreamed of uniting the Congo as a democratic nation devoid of foreign interference, a visionary who wished to use the Congo's rich mineral resources to help all of Africa. Patrice Lumumba, the first Prime Minister of Congo, was assassinated in January 1961, a violent end to a brief but impactful political career. He gave a speech which then Belgian president didn't like. Just 2.5 months later, he had been removed from office by military officers, and 7 months later, he was eliminated by Belgian operatives with the help of CIA. Although the Belgian government has formally apologized for the role that they played in the assassination of Lumumba, they have not stated the exact motivations as to why the assassination took place. Even though the West has played a significant role in hindering the economic development of Africa, the continent itself also bears responsibility for its current situation. Corruption and the struggle against addiction to power among African leaders remain significant challenges for the continent. This is the dual challenge Africa faces: external exploitation and internal corruption. Both are stealing the continent's future piece by piece.